All right, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the awesomest show in the universe. And Nicole,
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. We're here to talk today about the top 5 things that you should do during closing. Closing etiquette, okay?
Closing etiquette. Let's get right into it. What do you think?
I think so.
Number 5, boom, be on time.
Yeah, don't call up your realtor like as your seller or buyer and say, hey, I'm gonna be a half an hour late because of traffic. That's not fun for everybody. You're gonna let a lot of people down if you're late for the closing.
Yeah, especially then if you want to read everything and stuff. That'd be weird.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Watch what you say. Number 4, watch what you say. Everyone, realtors, everyone, the sellers, buyer, if your house appraised for $20,000, or if the appraisal came in $20,000 over what you're buying the house for.
Don't tell the sellers that as you're sitting at the closing table.
Don't break their heart.
Don't say that you have a bad neighbor that you hate and you're so glad you're moving as the seller. As a realtor, pay attention to your clients. Don't talk to the lender the whole time and ignore your clients.
Or don't tell them how excited you are to gut the whole house. The poor seller, lived their whole life, to make and stuff.
Or talk to the other realtor about how you had a blast getting wasted last night or something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've heard that before.
I've heard that. Heard it all. All right. Number 3, closing gifts. Nothing wrong with giving closing gifts. That's fine. But you've got to give them outside of their closing room.
Yes.
I think it's very unprofessional. When I first got started, you weren't even allowed to do it in the closing room. And I think things just changed on that. But, give your client a gift. That's fine. Do it in the parking lot. Do it outside the building. The closing room should be a place for professionalism. I know we're probably going to get some pushback on that one.
Probably.
But I don't care. That's what I say.
Well, I think you need to think about your other realtor partner too. You don't know what position they're in. Maybe they're brand new and they can't afford to give gifts to their clients. Or maybe they just kind of had a bad transaction and they forgot the gift that day. Anything like that. And they may be mailing it to their client later. It doesn't make your realtor partner look like a good realtor when you give a closing gift and they don't. That's kind
Still
of
doing that realtor thing.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Number 2. Are we on 2 already?
Yeah.
I feel like we're flying right through this one.
We are.
Do your job before the closing. I always tell my customers, a realtor is doing work at the closing. It's because it's a big deal, or it's an emergency, or the other realtor's lazy, or didn't do their job. I shouldn't say they're lazy. They just, you should do everything before the closing. If you have a person that is very analytical and they're going to want to read everything, I've had that happen before. The closing is not the time for that, believe it or not. But I get them all the documents that they're going to be asked to sign the night before. Great closing agents will get them to me the night before, and I can let them read through all of them. They don't, in case they have any questions.
Yeah, nobody wants to sit at the closing table and shoot daggers at the person that is reading every single document, and the closing takes like 2.5, 3 hours because of that. So, and make sure you're checking your closing statement before you go into the closing. Your closing disclosure should be checked by you a day or 2 before closing. Adding fees if there's home warranty on the wrong side or anything like that. And don't check your phone during your closing, like Craig's doing in this video right here. And in the take before this, it was going off because he never turned it off. Just so you know.
They don't care about that.
Yeah, they do. So just make sure that you're being courteous to everybody in the transaction.
We should have probably did the number 1 is it's about the customer.
Yes.
It's not about the realtors. I know you're friends with the lender and you work with the closer all the time and all that kind of good stuff. But really, this is a magical time for the buyer and the seller. The seller is moving on, going somewhere else. The buyers, that was their dream home that they're going to be closing on. So it's really about them. It shouldn't be about the real estate agents.
Yeah, and you don't want to talk about like how much business you're doing with the lender and like things like that. You really need to remember that, especially like a first-time buyer or an emotional seller, it was their mom's house that they had to sell and things like that. You need to make sure you're focusing on the people aspect during the closing and not so much your business.
And that's probably a better place where I should have did the little texting bit or whatever.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, don't take, try not to take phone calls, try not, be professional. That's a big deal. And sometimes, and I've been accused of talking too much during closing by my own clients or other people's clients because I forgot that it sometimes is a very nervous time for a buyer or seller. And if we do this all the time, we know that, most closings aren't like a really big deal or anything like that.
Yeah, don't interrupt your closer because your client's then going to think it's like super important And a lot of times it's probably not with what you're interrupting, or the closer is going to go over it later in the transaction. So.
Yep, I think those are some good. I think we pretty much nailed it again. I think that's another great one.
We did, I know, right?
Oh, and thanks Kim Schultz for giving us that recommendation.
Yes,
I like it. It was
thank
good.
you. Yeah.
If anyone else has any other recommendations, we'll take them into consideration.
Comment below, and we'd love to do some more videos for you guys.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks for watching.